Hey guys, Mr. Profit here. I'm going to help you out with the drum major auditions that are coming up very shortly. We're going to have a short series of videos, and these videos are designed to help you along the way. So the first video, this video is we're going to talk about leadership. This is going to be the longest of all the videos because I personally feel like leadership is very important. It's the basic fundamental of what a drum major is. If you're not leading as a drum major, then you see the problem. Um, so the first video is leadership, and this is some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. First, I want to ask you what your ideas behind leadership is. What does it mean to you? Why is it important? Things like that. And then at the end, I also want you to try to figure out what kind of leader you are. I will say on here, there's only five different types of leadership styles. There's approximately 12, even more than that. These are the most common that you're going to see, especially with the type of group that we have, which is a 250 plus marching band. So I will say that I feel like mine is servant leadership, which is putting others first and doing what you can to better the organization. On top of that, I also feel like I have a charismatic leadership style. I feel like I'm very well spoken. I can talk myself out of pretty much any situation. So that is very helpful as you'll see here shortly. So the first kind that I want to talk about is transformational. So your transformational leadership style is like a coaching style. So if you've ever done Little League baseball, soccer, track, swim, anything that involves a coach, you're going to pretty quickly recognize that your coaches are very good at picking out your weaknesses, that will help you improve. They typically provide feedback, which just promotes growth very quickly. So it's basically like, you're really good at this, so you should go do that. For example, you're good at fundamental block, so you should go teach fundamentals. It's that situation. So out of like however many drum majors Jaggy ends up picking, say one of you guys is really good at teaching fundamental block. Well, of course, at the very beginning, one of you guys might end up teaching fundamental block. Put them to good work. They're good at this, right? So the next one we're going to talk about is transactional. So transactional is do this and you get this. A good one is, guys, if we all don't talk during rehearsal, I want to make you brownies. So this works. However, sometimes individuals will only start working for this reward. So be mindful of that. So basically just this style will reward individuals for the work that they do. The next one that we're going to talk about is authoritarian. So authoritarian is, I'm the person in charge, this is the way that we're going to do it, and I don't have to tell you why. This style does work sometimes, but as you'll come to learn, at the end of the day, you're not the main person in charge. It is Mr. Jaggy or whichever staff member it is around. So you be mindful of that. It is very important that sometimes you do have to put your foot down and be like, no, we have to stop right now. But most of the time, that's going to come down to Mr. Jaggy. The next one I want to talk about is charismatic. They are an influencer, easy to get along with, and people enjoy their personality. An influencer means that they're always leading by example. People always look up to them. They're not showing up late because showing up late could give off the idea that I can show up late because the drum major shows up late, so why not? So things like that. It's just very well spoken, and there's just some things like, I like that kid, and it's just by the way that they carry themselves. The servant leadership style, I feel like, is very important, especially with an organization this big. You're always wanting to help, which helping boost morale, and it gets everyone involved. Being a leader is mostly about putting others first. Well, yes, you got to think about your own ideas. At the same time, your own idea is not going to get this band to the state champion BOA finalist level that you guys are very capable of achieving, that you do every single year. But servant leadership style is putting others first so you can gather the problems from everyone else and help develop a plan that works the best for that. Um, so now we're going to go through and discuss the flaws for each. So some of the flaws for transformational style, which is your coach. If you don't do it right, it can come off very, let's see, very naggy. So naggy as in, wow, you need to make sure that you're working on your double tonguing because it's not good. If you do that over and over again, it's just going to come off as very naggy, and a lot of people aren't going to be a big fan of that. You got to make sure that when you're providing feedback, it's a combination of positive and negative, depending on the person. I would definitely say the first couple of weeks, it just needs to be positive, unless if you personally know that individual. Nothing else can be worse than going up to a freshman and be like, wow, you're awful, or something like that. I mean, obviously, I don't think you'd ever do that, but just something along those lines. You got to be encouraging, want them to stay, because that first week of band camp where the freshmen are there, they might not fully understand what they're getting themselves into, but being positive and allowing them to come back is what's going to help them want to come back. Transactional, as I said, it can be pretty dangerous because you'll have people that only want to work for that reward. So the reward being, wow, if I do this, I can get this, so I'm only going to do that bare minimum thing. So it's like, if I don't talk and block, then I can get this. So it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to talk and block, but I'll do other goofy stuff that's going to end up prohibiting the band from achieving at a very high level. So just be pretty careful about that. You're going to have individuals who want to do the bare minimum to do what they see as good. So when you want to do a reward, it has to be set very high so they can actually do this. The next one is authoritarian. I put authoritarian on here because it can be good. There's some times where you need to put your foot down and be like, no, everyone needs to stop doing this or that, or whatever the situation may be, and you need to be the main person in charge. However, at the same time, if you do this all the time, it can be quite bad. A lot of people won't really like you, or they won't be as responsive to you because they're on their high horse again, or something like that. So you got to make sure that you're not always authoritarian. You got to make sure that you're still being the nice, lovable person that you are, because at the end of the day, if you're just always an authoritarian, no one likes a tyrant, right? Next one is charismatic. So a negative with charismatic people is that a lot of the time they can come off as, oh my gosh, this person is so fake. And I've noticed that a lot of the time, even at my time at UK, there's been people that have told me specifically, wow, Jordan's too happy all the time. I was like, well, I mean, just put a smile on your face. It's like, it's a good day. Something like that. So after being told that, I'm like, oh, Jordan's just always like in a good mood, or he's like too positive about everything. I personally don't feel like is a negative thing, but some people do view it that way. So you got to make sure that you're still relatable to everyone. You're going to have some people who are super negative in the marching band, and being positive does typically shut that down, but sometimes agreeing with that person will help so much more. But it's important that when you agree with them, you instantly come back and also say why we can't do this that way, or something like that. So you got to make sure you have both ends of that. But at the end of the day, positivity needs to overreign, because one person being positive can stop 30 people being negative. All right. So the next one that we're going to talk about is servant leadership. And that one can be negative because if you're always wanting to help, you yourself is going to get strung out. I found that very evident with my second year being drum major. I felt like I was very well prepared with everything I did, so I just wanted to help with everything. And then I was like, wait, I need to just chill out and allow the other drum majors to also do stuff and things like that. And then also, if you're just a person always doing something, then something else isn't being done. That's the thing about being high up in leadership. You always have things that you need to be doing. So you got to get good at delegating. And delegating is very important, because if you can delegate efficiently and appropriately, then things are going to get done so much faster. Delegating doesn't mean that just because you don't want to do something, you're going to send someone else to do it, but it means that you can't do something, so I'm going to send someone else to do it so it will still get done. So you got to keep that in mind. Delegating appropriately is very important. So now I kind of wanted to discuss my experiences with being drum major. Of course, it's very different than in high school. Just a lot of like very obvious ones. It's not competitive versus you're doing a different show every week and things like that. But I was still the first to arrive and last to leave, because if I wasn't one of the first people to arrive, then it shows everyone else that walking in 5 minutes early is all right. I mean, 5 minutes before rehearsal starts is all right, but it's not, because you got to get your instrument together, this, and this. So you got to make sure that you're getting there with ample amount of time so you can still set up your podium and everything like that. I think the most important thing about being a drum major is that you get rehearsal starting on time. At UK, if everyone is still off on the sideline getting their horns together with about 3 minutes left until rehearsal starts, then I know that we're starting late. And that always comes back onto me. And that's just because at UK, we start rehearsals with our whistle command, and then we start right in the fundamental block. Obviously, it's probably going to be different at Madison Central, but I still think it is important that you're getting everyone in the block at a time that is appropriate for everyone to actually be ready when rehearsal starts. When I was in a high school, we made sure that we were in the block 5 minutes before. That might be a little bit long for this organization, but you got to find that happy medium, which works best with your group, and make sure that they get there on time, because there's nothing worse than just wasting rehearsal time, right? So you got to make sure that you are staying with that and getting everything done quickly. Doing the dirty work is a big part of it. It might not necessarily be at rehearsal, but outside of rehearsals. There's a lot of time being a drum major that you're working on things outside of rehearsal. I'll honestly say it's kind of like adding an extra class load. You got to work on memorizing the music. You have to maybe do various tasks that Jackie might assign you with. I know at UK I had to do a Big Little Big Sister program, and that took out a lot of me, because every single night of band camp we were staying up till 3 a.m. figuring that out. So things like that that are considered dirty work that overall better the organization, but you got to know that you are going to be doing that. I think this is very important. You are a representative for the entire organization. You have to remember that, say, if you do something bad, say you go rob a bank. Obviously, this is very extreme. You go rob a bank. It's going to say Madison Central drum major robs bank, not Madison Central band member robs bank. It's Madison Central leader robs a bank, something like that. That's very extreme, but I feel like that's very good to get the point across. So you got to make sure that you're on your best behavior and you're being a representative of the person that you want to be. With that being said, be smart. It's essentially that. People are going to know you're the drum major. All your teachers are going to know you're the drum major, and they're going to hold that above your head. So you got to be a representative for that entire organization. If you go to Cracker Barrel acting like a hooligan, then people that know you're the drum major is like, wow, Madison Central's just full of a bunch of hooligans. So last thing, you're going to find conflict with some of your peers. It is very important that you do not respond with, well, I earned this position, so you need to listen to me. You need to think about your own plan as to what you're going to do when this conflict happens. So for an example, someone disagrees with you, you need to always get on their side and start working back. See why they're frustrated, agree with them, and then start working forward again. So that's very important as being a drum major. You just cannot say I earned this position, because that's going to send people over the edge. All right, so that's about all the time that we have. I want to add my email down here to the end. It is jordan.profit@madison.kyschools.us. If you have any questions, just send me an email there. I'll be able to answer anything. I'll check it pretty often. So thank you guys for sticking through to the end of the video. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day and get to practicing.